Okay, we turn now to the readings for Good Friday. All of these are extremely long, and they're difficult just because of what they're about. So I don't know. I haven't quite worked out in my head yet how I'm going to do this, but I want to start with the Isaiah. This is one of the most agonizing passages in the whole Bible. I would encourage you, stop the video, get your Bible and read it out loud. You've already read it, silently for yourself. Stop the video, read this out loud. Let your mouth say these words. Let your ears hear your mouth saying these words, and see what that experience is like for you, especially if you're doing it on Good Friday this year, April 3rd, 2026. So this is a prophecy. Isaiah lived 500 years before Christ, but through the Spirit, Isaiah was given these words that prophesied what was going to happen when Jesus was crucified. Verse 13 of chapter 52 says, "He will be high and lifted up and greatly exalted. His throne was the cross. He was high and lifted up and exalted, but it wasn't in the way that anybody wants to, and it wasn't even in the way that Jesus would have wanted to. He prayed in the night before he died, Lord, please let this cup pass from me." Verse 14, his appearance was marred more than any man. They beat him and scourged him with whips so that he was hardly recognizable anymore as a human being. Most of his skin was gone. He was so disfigured that he probably shouldn't even have still been alive. And that was just the scourging. That wasn't even the crucifixion yet. His form marred more than the sons of men. They destroyed his body, and he felt that. Thus he will sprinkle many nations. We're returning again to what we looked at in Exodus 24, where the blood of the sacrifices was sprinkled on the people for the forgiveness of their sins. Jesus's blood would have sprinkled the people who were beating him, scourging him, crucifying him, standing near. But it comes on us too. Not his literal blood, obviously, but the effects of his blood having been spilled. That cleanses us for many nations. Kings will shut their mouths on account of him. There isn't anything that you can say about the creator of the universe being treated in this way by the people that he created. There's no authority that is higher than he, who can make any kind of decree or proclamation or official statement. There just isn't anything to say about this. For what had not been told to them, they will see, and what they had not heard, they will understand. History changes forever because of this event. And people are given to understand things that they could not otherwise have understood. Continuing into chapter 53, verse 2. He, Jesus, grew up before him, his Father, like a tender shoot. The Father loves the Son, just like we love our children. They're so tender. And Jesus grew up tender before the Father, like a root out of parched ground. It had seemed for hundreds, if not thousands of years, that Israel was kind of on its way out, done, snuffed. Everyone wants to get rid of Israel. Satan sure does. Satan kept attacking the line of David, hoping to prevent Messiah ever from being born. But here, parched ground, a stump, what looks dead, here comes Jesus. God's plan prevails. There isn't anybody or any power anywhere that can stop it from being accomplished. God's plan prevails. He has no stately form or majesty that we should look upon him, nor appearance that we should be attracted to him. There wasn't anything particularly handsome or attractive about Jesus, and there sure wasn't after he had been beaten and scourged. He was not going to attract people because of the way that he looked. We contrast this in the book of Revelation when Jesus comes the second time, and he is glorious, radiant, resplendent, decked in the most luxurious and expensive and stately array beyond imagining. His first coming to earth was in humility and with no attraction about his appearance. His second coming will be very, very different. Why? Because we need to learn the lesson of humility. Physical attraction and stateliness and really nice clothes and an attractive personality or physique do not matter at all to Christ. He wants to know the condition of our hearts. Who do we say that he is? And are we willing to obey him and surrender to him and allow him to forgive us for all the times that we fail to obey him? He was despised, and we did not esteem him. People didn't even recognize him. The Jews who had been waiting for him for millennia did not recognize him, didn't esteem him. Surely our griefs he himself bore, and our sorrows he carried. One of the reasons there's a place in the Gospel of Luke where it says, and Jesus set his face like flint to go to Jerusalem. It took him 6 months to get there. There's some thought that one of the reasons that it took so long is because he was increasingly bearing the weight of the sin of the world. It's heavy. Sometimes when we sin and we sin bad, we feel this heaviness and this weightiness. Jesus bore all the sins of everyone who had ever lived, who was alive at the time, and who ever would come. He had all of that. All of that was physically in him, the weight of that sin. He bore it, and you can imagine how that might have slowed him down a little bit. He was pierced through for our transgressions. Ordinarily, when people were crucified by the Romans, if it was taking too long, the soldiers would go along and break the legs of the crucified people. There was a way, if you were being crucified, that you could kind of prop yourself up against the nails in your feet and be able to breathe, but not if your legs were broken. And so they would do that on purpose to make the torture even more awful and to kind of speed things along. Jesus did not have any bones in his body that were broken. They took a sword and pierced him through, and Isaiah prophesied that that would happen. He was crushed for our iniquities. The chastening for our well-being fell upon him, and by his scourging we are healed. All of this done to his physical body for me, for my sins, for the things that I do carelessly, casually, callously, every single day. He bore that in his body. All of us, like sheep, have gone astray. Each of us has turned to his own way. I keep talking about this with Exodus 24. Oh, yes, we will obey, and everything that the Lord has said we will do. All of us, like sheep, have turned to our own way. We've turned away from the way of God, and we have turned toward our own way. And the Lord has caused the iniquity of us all to fall on Christ. He did not open his mouth. He didn't abuse the people who were lying about him, slandering him, falsely accusing him, falsely condemning him, leading him away in chains, beating him, stripping him, driving nails through his body. He was not indignant, and he did not abuse them at all. He was silent before them, like a lamb that is led to slaughter. His grave was assigned with wicked men, yet he was with a rich man in his death. If you go to the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 27, it tells us about Joseph of Arimathea, who was very, very wealthy. Jesus' body was laid in Joseph of Arimathea's tomb. He was with a rich man in his death. Joseph of Arimathea was with Jesus. In the Gospel of John, we see that Nicodemus, who we learned about for the second Sunday of Lent, and he couldn't quite figure out who Jesus was, or what Jesus was talking about. By chapter 19, I think, of the Gospel of John, Nicodemus is there helping Joseph of Arimathea take Jesus' body down from the cross and prepare it for burial. Joseph of Arimathea was really rich. Nicodemus also would have been incredibly rich. Nicodemus brought 100 pounds of burial spices, myrrh and frankincense for Jesus' body. How much do you weigh? 100 pounds of burial spice. That's an insane amount. Nobody was buried with that much burial spices. But Nicodemus is all in at that point, 100%. Everything that he has is now at Jesus' disposal. Verse 10, the Lord was pleased to crush him, putting him to grief. This connects us back to Genesis 3, which we had on the first Sunday of Lent, where Adam and Eve take the apple and come under the curse of sin and the curse of death. From before any creation, God had already known that we were going to screw it up and that he was going to need to send his son, and that his son would be the only way that humanity could be reconciled with God. That was his plan, and his plan is good. The Lord was pleased to crush him. Why? Not because God delights in violence or destruction or pain or killing or murder or any of this, but because he knew that it would restore us, his children, to himself. He allowed his son to go through that because he loves us that much. And then we sort of shift in the middle of verse 10. He will see his offspring. That's us. We can come back to him because Christ made the way through his own body, through his own suffering. He will prolong his days. Christ is going to live forever. Death is not the end for him, nor is it the end for us. And the good pleasure of the Lord will prosper in Christ's hand. Why? Because Christ is perfectly obedient. Everything that the Father wants, Christ does, and he does it perfectly. The good pleasure of the Lord will prosper in his hand. Whatever the Father entrusts to the Son carries to completion. My servant, this is verse 11, my servant will justify the many. By his sacrifice, we get justification. We get made right. He takes our sinfulness and exchanges it for his righteousness. He bore the sinfulness. We get his righteousness. It is not fair. It is not what we deserve. We can't possibly earn it. He justified us, and that allows us to spend eternity with him. Therefore, I will allot him a portion with the great. He will divide the spoil with the strong, because he poured out himself to death, and he was numbered with the transgressors. It was as though Christ was the chief. Every sin he bore. He was numbered with the transgressors, even though he never sinned. He himself bore the sin of many and interceded for the transgressors. This rips me up. I cannot ever wrap my mind around how much love this shows for us, that he would bear this in his body for me. I hope it rips you up too.